Well, you covered a lot of the narrative within that excerpt, and I'm curious about data because I understand that you, with partnering with Yale Legal Services Clinic, right? You filed a Freedom of Information Act. What was the process like getting the VA to provide data on disability benefits for Black veterans? Could you tell me about that?
It was a journey. I mean, I think first it was, as a vet, I don't necessarily know all the complexities of the VA. So really the first year of even standing up those FOIA requests was an attempt to try to understand the build out of the VA as a bureaucracy. And how we would FOIA to be effective at trying to get our hands on useful data, especially because so much of what the VA had said publicly was that they didn't have any data, right? So we knew that we had a challenge ahead of us, and we were able to work with really brilliant law students at the direction of Mike Wishney, who runs the Veterans Legal Clinic at Yale. And it took about a year to put those FOIAs together. We FOIA'd the Veterans Benefits Administration, the Veterans Health Administration. These are all under the umbrella of the VA, and they have different responsibilities under VA in giving access to different benefits to veterans. And so, that took a good year to formulate. And when we delivered them, the VA was basically non-responsive, and so we had to take them to court. That took another year. But during the process of all of this, there was a lot of organizing happening. And so, kind of rewinding a little bit back, shortly after the murder of George Floyd, the House Veteran Affairs Committee put together a roundtable of Black veterans groups, and we were fortunate enough to be included in that. In part because I think I understood the internet, and I one of the things that I'll say about kind of because there have been storied Black veterans organizations that have been doing advocacy, like the National Association for Black Veterans, the National Association for Black Military Women, Black Veterans for Social Justice, that have existed for decades. But we're a new generation, right? And we have a different tool at our disposal, which is the internet. And I understood that. And I remember even when I was initially, wanting to think through the project, I'd Googled Black veterans, and there were some disparate articles. There were some kind of academic articles. There wasn't a lot of national reporting on this issue at all at the time. And so I knew that I could be effective there, but then it was like I saw an opportunity to really leverage the internet. And so we were fortunate enough, one of the first media placements that we had was in USA Today, where they kind of did a really nice write-up about the vision for the work that we wanted to do. And so I guess that came up in Google when the House Veteran Affairs Committee was trying to figure out who to bring to the table, because we hadn't really done anything yet, right? But here I found myself invited to be in this roundtable with organizations that had existed for 50 years, some of whom had existed for decades. And in that roundtable, over the course of the last 6 months of 2020, there was a decision to form a working coalition for the first time in history where Black veterans groups were going to try to work in tandem together to centralize their political advocacy. And so because I had this experience leading political comms at IAVA, I volunteered myself to help lead the political comms for this coalition. And so that was kind of happening in the background as I was continuing to build the Black Veterans Project forward.